Hi, Shalom. This is my September/early fall reading wrap up. I'm going to try changing my MO for reading wrap ups, at least in the short run, while I am transitioning to doing post production on my tablet. I used to do it all on my phone, but that was getting way too hard on my eyes, even with the large text setting. So instead of filming the entire wrap up in one piece, I'm going to do separate clips for each book and then put it all together in one video. That should make post production a lot faster and a lot less stressful. And I need things to be less stressful, to say the least. Okay, so first up is Women Are the Fiercest Creatures by Andrea Dunlop. As I've mentioned before, she was a novelist before getting into her Munchausen by proxy activism. I covered her nonfiction book, The Mother Next Door, in my previous wrap up, and now I am going to be covering her novels, which are amazing. And when I was writing the script for the reading wrap up, I realized I need to do a whole separate video on this book because I just could not stop thinking and writing when I was working on this script. So the story follows three different women who all have children with the same guy, and by same guy, I mean major scumbag. The timeline jumps around, so I'm going to introduce the characters chronologically. Sam is Mexican American and runs a body positive yoga studio that sounds super cool. Her mom is from Mexico and she's a professor and social activist. There are some references to Mayan spirituality, which I thought was fascinating. That was the indigenous religion slash spirituality prior to colonization, from Spain and the Catholic Church. Then we have Anna, who married Jake and they had two boys. He left her for a 23-year-old woman named Jessica, who is our third female lead, and she is pregnant with his child when the story begins. These women end up meeting each other, and it is every bit as intense and dramatic as you might expect, but in a very realistic way. There are some references to Golden Girls, which I loved. I swear, I get more like B. Arthur the older I get. My mood when I finished the book is best summed up with my favorite Golden Girls quote. Blanche asks Dorothy where she's going, and Dorothy replies, either to get ice cream or commit a felony. I'll decide in the car. This book was absolutely fantastic. Okay, next up is We Came Here to Forget, which is also by Andrea Dunlop. And this is fiction, but heavily influenced by Andrea's experience with Munchausen by proxy in her family. She hosts a phenomenal podcast about MBP called Nobody Should Believe Me, which I will be covering in at least one future video. And I will link all of her stuff down below. Okay, on to the book. The story follows Katie, who is a 30-year-old retired professional skier, and she goes to Buenos Aires and she meets other expats from America and the UK, and they all have different backgrounds, but they all came there to get away from something. One of the side characters was a professional cellist who faced a ton of discrimination and misogyny. And unfortunately, the classical music world is rife with all of that shit. Sidebar, I'm often asked why I never became a professional musician, and that is a big part of it. I was actually considering it back when I was in high school, but I somehow had the foresight to see through all that crap even at that age. That's another discussion for another day. My point is that that subplot point really resonated with me. And I also really enjoyed all of the detailed descriptions of Buenos Aires as a vision impaired person who hasn't traveled much. There were such in depth descriptions of different foods and smells. That wasn't the main part of the book, obviously, but it really added to my reading experience. I especially recommend this book if you are a regular listener of Andrea's podcast, Nobody Should Believe Me. Again, I will link all of her stuff down below. Okay, next up is Infamous by Lex Croucher. I listened to this on audiobook with the Libby app. As said, my speech perception has improved quite a bit because I've been listening to podcasts and audiobooks a lot more. I pair audio and ebook when I can, but the library didn't have Infamous as an ebook. This is the first queer romance I've read / listened to all the way through, and I really liked it. The character's sexuality isn't straightforward. You see the characters kind of wrestling with all the questions I wrestled with as a bisexual woman. Do I like girls? Do I like guys? What if I like both guys and girls? You get the idea. Sorry, teleprompter issues. Just a second. Sometimes I have to adjust the speed. There we go. The story takes place in the Regency era, aka Jane Austen's time, and the Bridgerton era. This is about 20 years or so before the Victorian era. The main character is Edie, an aspiring writer. She has a close female friend named Rose. Back in the day, it was considered more normal / acceptable for young women to be physically affectionate and even kiss each other. It was seen sort of as practice for marriage, I guess you could say. Rose starts expressing interest in marriage, which makes Edie apprehensive because she's afraid of losing her best friend, but there's definitely more going on than just feelings of friendship. Edie befriends a poet named Nash Nicholson, who considers himself sort of a rival to Lord Byron, who was a romantic poet. The umbrella category of romantic poets was sort of like the Jane Austen version of Schmeck's Drugs and Rock and Roll. Think of Logan and the Life and Unalive Brigade on Gilmore Girls. Curse you, AI censorship. Edie finds herself immersed in that world while navigating her confusing feelings about Rose. I related to all of that so much. This was a really good book. Okay, that's a wrap on my September / early fall reading wrap up. Sorry I didn't read more books, and I'm sorry it took me so long to get this video finished and posted. As you all know, my migraines pretty much run the show, and that's been in fits and starts. But I will post book videos as often as I can. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye! If you enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor and hit the thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Like you Bye.